Welcome to today's episode of The Breach Room, where we sit down with the sharpest minds in the cybersecurity industry. This episode is powered by Alteraim. Most cybersecurity firms are tired of the old way of chasing lead through networking events, webinars, word of mouth, and if you're still relying on getting your name out there, you're growing your network, but you're not growing your bottom line. So deep down, you know referrals aren't a real growth strategy, and it's praying for others to do your work. At Alteraim, we provide you with a battle-tested, data-driven client acquisition system that attracts your ideal clients without you hoping that in the next event you'll close. There's no chasing, just predictable compounding growth. So if you're in cybersecurity, and if you're looking to scale your business and see results within the first week, DM the word growth for a free consultation. And without further ado, let's get into it. Today we have a really special guest who is a CEO, and he's also a member of the Forbes New York Business Council. So thank you so much, Steve, for being here today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do?
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. My
Such
name
an
is
honor.
Stephen Ward. I'm one of the principal founders and CEO of Polaris Risk. Polaris is a global provider of security risks services, and we run the gamut from cyber advisory to physical security assessments and providing everything from physical security for executives and high net worth individuals to creating designs and plans. On the cyber advisory side, we work from planning with our clients, planning their environment, testing their environment, tabletop exercises, as well as we do partake in crisis management and incident response on occasion.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, we were just talking about like the gap that is in the market between like cyber and like physical security as well. Can you elaborate a little bit more about like how your service fits within the market, to
Sure.
provide services?
So I think the key is, and from the cyber side, because you're in this industry, is cyber is a broad term. And I think on the physical side, there is a lack of, I'd say, true understanding of cyber. And where we fall at Polaris is our motto is bridging the gap between the physical and the cyber realm, because we think that's where the world is evolving. So we utilize AI tools on the investigative side and the intelligence side. We use the cyber advisory side to work with our clients and making sure their environments are secure, even their access control and security systems. I think where I see the gaps that fall is greatly, really, truly understanding the two different portions of the security. Let's say the protective envelope. The cyber team is responsible for data, their perimeter access into their network, bad threat internal actors, as well as external threats. And while similarly, the physical side has some of those same requirements, I think that the gap is truly not understanding where they truly can cohabitate and complement each other. And what we try to do is advise our clients on where we see those areas of intersection and where those two teams can work. I can give you an example is when we put together an intelligence center and we have, let's say, a deep and dark web analyst assessing that. We also assess geopolitical and threats to the organization and the brand. We also would like to have an InfoSec analyst, someone from the cyber side who's looking for threats against the organization, looking at constant attacks and things such as that, so that they can share the information in a open form and a quick environment so they can maybe target, hey, we're being targeted by this nation state or we're seeing this action. And then subsequently, when you look at it from the intelligence perspective, it could say, hey, our organization has just put out a message that we're moving into this market, and it may be ruffling feathers with a BRICS country or with an Eastern European or with China and other organizations. And by putting those teams together and having them share their information where it makes sense and understanding each other's role, I think would be much more beneficial to our clients than having them siloed.
Wow, that's super impressive. You're the first person I talk to, like cybersecurity CEOs every day, but you're the first person that has such a comprehensive approach to cybersecurity where you really see where everything interlaces to provide the best service possible. And so what kind of clients does Polaris usually focus on
Sure.
serving?
It's an interesting metrics and vertical where we service. We service high net worth individuals and family offices, but also large Fortune 50, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 clients. We have smaller companies that are startup in the tech space, in the crypto space, alternative asset space. So it's really a wide open spectrum of clients. And where we try to find what's best for our clients is our ability to be flexible. looking at a startup organization saying you can't go in with this intensive cyber program, but let's get you set up so you can get your cyber insurance. We think that's one of the key aspects is to let's start creating a framework on the cyber side that correlates with your physical side. Sometimes I think cyber comes first because when you, depending on your business model, the cyber is going to be the most vulnerable right off the bat, right? So I think that's where we shine, that we can work with a high net worth individual family has a family office portfolio company all the way up to a Fortune 50.
Wow, that's such a great approach, like being flexible and really tailoring to the client's needs. I know that in an interview you also mentioned that you were able to refer them maybe to some partners.
Yes. So we're not everything to everyone. When we are an advisory, we truly are a cyber advisory. We're not the, if you have, we can do incident response, and we do to an extent. If it's something we feel that's farther that out of our reach, we know the partners to go to. We also know that there's certain things we will do, and then we'll look to industry partners like companies like Elastic that have great tools, and we'll refer our clients to those entities, and then other third parties like MSSP providers that can do long-term setting up and monitoring of the environment. So I think for us it's key to understand our role is that I think a lot of consultants get lost in the idea we can do anything we'll do everything you need. We have key areas where we're really good. We will help guide you, but we want to bring in the best in breed partners so that you have a bench of people to go to, not just let's call Polaris for everything, because no one company can do everything.
Yeah, you specialize in something and then you have people to complement you in those other areas to really
Yes.
satisfy the client needs. That's super smart. And can you share maybe a little bit more about like your role as a CEO and founder and how it fits into the bigger picture at Polaris? Like what's your day-to-day look like?
So it's funny you asked that because when I started, it really was I came out of a physical security company and I wanted to be more into cyber. So my job is to, one, make sure service delivery is intact, work with my team to make sure we're giving the clients what they need, deal with higher end clients or new clients that need hand holding. And then really the goal of the company. And my job is to plot our course. We say our true north is Polaris, right? It's the star, it's ever present, you can find it. So my job is to plot our course as to where the organization is going, where it's our future, where we want to go, assessments. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes you look at things you've done and say, well, we did this for a year or two, we need to move away from this because it's not in our core goals and principles, and it's also not the best for our organization. So my job is to steer the ship per se, listen to my partners, listen to the staff, and I believe in open dialogue. I don't think there's anything wrong with someone sitting in a room and being a contrarian and challenging leadership's view. I think if we all sit in a room, we all say we got the right thing, we're doing this, we're wrong. You have to have a difference of opinion, because if you think you're always right, you're definitely wrong.
Yeah, that's when diversity really comes in, having people with different backgrounds, different experiences, and different expertise to like really boil it down and find the best solution possible. Yeah, if you're all in agreement, then you're probably missing something.
And you hit it right on, diversity is key for us. In security firms, there's this view that, hey, I came out of the government, I came out of law enforcement, I did 20, 30 years. I'm the expert. For us, we take some people that are right out of undergrad or grad school that have really unique experiences and backgrounds. We take people that have worked for the government for short periods of time, and then we have people that have worked there for a long period of time. We've seen an evolution in our organization. We have a number of very, very strong, smart, independent women that know how to run programs. And in security, it is becoming more, I'd say, equal, but for a long time, it was a male dominated industry. And for us, it's great to see the diversity, but also see the ideas. I feel that I have people that have come out of 30-year careers with the government, military are great. The younger ones that come out have a non-bias per se. They haven't gone through the rigor of saying you have to do this. And some of their ideas are really great. And it really moves our organization in a fast way into AI and other tools, where other companies would maybe be a little bit more hesitant and want to say, the model says you do ABC. Now let's test other things. So we really value our team.
Yeah, I mean, it really sounds like you also hit the nail in the head. Like having someone that is fresh out of school, has a different perspective, hasn't really been trained with bad habits or anything like that. And someone that has extensive background in the military could also bring a lot of value to the table because that's
Yes.
really valuable experience.
Yes, having them both, we don't discount either. What we say is if you're going to be successful at Polaris, you have to be independent and self-starting, and you have to be strong in conviction. If you sit in a desk and you're working remote, you're unhappy, and you think we're doing something wrong, and you think you have a better way, and you're just getting angry because we're not doing it, articulate it. Because no one's going to ever be upset if you say, I've had people say, I think we could do this better, and they're right, and it saves us time. So if you want to have that vision where you're going to be part of a team, the employee has to step up as well. It's two sides. We'll sit here and listen to you, and we will make you part of the conversation, but you have to step up. And I've been very lucky. The people we have here, and in the last 6 years, some of them have gone on to great roles, started with us, and it's amazing to see what they've done from when they left us, and we still are very close with them. So it's a nice feeling to see that you've made an impact on their careers at a young age, and plus they make a major impact on our organization.
Wow, that's such a remarkable achievement. And like what would be your North Star as a CEO? Like like I've been talking to a lot of cybersecurity thought leaders and a lot of people are saying I want to double, maybe triple my revenue because the industry, is growing in demand. Like you said, with AI, attacks are getting more and more sophisticated. So where do you see the company in the next like 6 to 12 months?
So we are growing. I think that trying to triple or X, it's a great goal, but you can lose sight of your core principles when you're only chasing revenue. So I think for us, it's it's a fast moving evolution, but we have a course and we're plotting that course. I think we will be growing. It's just for us, it's definitely something that's happening organically. I think where we want to be is growing at a reasonable pace and being able to provide the services that we provide. One of the biggest things I see this, I'm sure you see this, a lot of people say they can do a lot of things. And when rubber hits the road, they really maybe haven't done what they said they have. So for us, it's to continue to evolve, grow our team, maybe look at an acquisition down the road of a cyber advisory team that can help us grow in different markets. And it's still getting out the message of the merging of the two worlds because we're heavily footprinted in the physical security side with armed security and security design, intelligence teams. So I think for us, it's just continuing the message we have, continuing the targeted growth. We have metrics we want to achieve and taking
So
advantage of opportunity.
what are some of those metrics that you're mostly focused on?
For us, it's not just top line, it's top line and bottom line, and it's also in resiliency in the work. We like to see recurring revenue. We like to see we're making an impact. And we like to see one of the things we use the term as being sticky with a client. Most of our clients that have come to us have worked with us when we were at much larger companies, came here over the years, and we have a client life cycle that's very long. When we lose a client, we want to sit down and understand is it, when they say it's not you, it's us, is it really that, or is it something we could have done better? So I think for us, right now, it's really, growing the business at a pace. We moved very fast. We 10x in the first 5 years. But
Uh,
yeah, it was nice. But we also realized some of that work was not sticking to our core principles. Again, that's the chasing the dollar as opposed to having a defined mission. And we're sticking to our target of continue to grow the advisory. I think what we're going to see more of is clients are going to rely on the advisory as AI attacks become more prevalent and more um, difficult to solve.
That makes sense. So let's touch up on that subject. What other trends, AI and things like that, have you seen like really coming up into the picture more and more on a day-to-day basis?
I think that monitoring on the defensive end with AI is great. I see on the other side, the offense, the other side's using it, right? Like AI is
Of
set up with
course.
bots. They can get into your network, they can lurk, and then they can have it set up with an AI tool where they're going to wait until they see the opportune time to attack. And that is where I see AI as a real problem is that they could be in environments for a long period of time and they can have it running on a computer until they see what they want. They can create the parameters of the attack. They can target companies at will much quicker. And it's more or less sophistication in the sense that, you used to have the model where you have the true hacking groups would sell their code and their tools to lower level criminals that might target individuals for ransom and other. But now with AI tools that are being made and codes that you can derive, it's makes an attack or assessing or penetration much easier, I think, than it was in the past. On the defense side, I think there's a lot of tools out there that are helpful in protecting your environment, but you still need analysts to do it. You can't cut down on your cyber team and solely rely on thinking AI is going to
Yes.
replace people. That's not going to help you.
No, you need like supervision. AI it's a great tool, but I feel like where a lot of people get it wrong, it's the fear of like getting replaced. And the AI can do a good chunk of the work, but at the end of the day, like you said, you need a person there, you need an analyst there to make sure that everything got done properly.
Yes, you need the oversight. So maybe you don't need 10, but you might need 5. So it will be a game changer in that sense. I've also seen that a mixed message. I don't know if you've seen this across the board, like 24, middle of 24, budgets were getting cut in cyber, right? It was kind of weird. It was the first time I'd seen that, and some companies are scaling up. So I don't think it's that uniform message across the board. And the other aspect I see is in the smaller, more emerging companies, they're reluctant to invest in cyber. It's never going to happen to me, and they don't understand the cyber insurance market.
Well, let's get into that for sure because I feel like SMB business owners they just feel like they're not the target, right? It's the big guys, but in reality, the big guys, like have the corporate training, they have the firewalls, they have the technology to protect them, even though they get breaches every now and then. But like,
Yeah,
what about lawyer offices? What about all of those smaller clients that don't feel
they
like
think they're smarter than the
yeah,
market. Like they don't believe they need it. A lot of times they don't have insurance. And then there's I'd say, a lack of understanding of what goes into a breach. So when you're like third partying out your entire environment, and then you have an IR consultant come in, and we work with some of the, on the crisis side, we work with the consultants, and they come in and they say, look, I can't get access to everything. I'm going through 3 layers. And then I have a client saying, well, I need this wrapped up in 14 days. Anyone that knows a breach, you can't put a timeline on assessing. I think statistically from all the different organizations, 70 to 90 days is like a standard to identify where the breach is, containment, and then it could be up to 200 days to eradicate and get back to normal. But they don't want to hear that. Like they just don't understand it. And I think that they don't see that the prevention you have now can save you in the future, or the
yeah.
dollars you put into it now. So they see it as like a non-return on investment. Like, well, who's going to steal my stuff? Like you said, but when you have a workforce working from home, when you don't have dedicated computers with encryption, when you have an employee who decides because their laptop's not booting up to grab their kid's laptop to log in, now all of a sudden you have a device that's on gaming sites and everything else. And if you don't have the gateways set up internally, I think it's a real problem, and I see it across the board. And the idea of saving money, I mean, we looked at our cyber renewal, and we had our broker come back and say you have great rates, but I think you should go more. And I'm always saying more because it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable that everyone is gonna something could happen. So I'm more concerned about that right now, in the business mindset to make sure we're set up in a way that because I could be a target tomorrow and it can happen to anyone. You can have the cybersecurity company. So we really look at that and we try to get the message out. But I think it's very hard because someone hears what a pen test is going to cost, or here's what it's going to cost to do a NIST or a gap assessment. And then you give them the crawl, walk, run. Here's what you need to start with. They just don't want to put the money down. But when they have an incident, then they put down so much and their business is
So
interrupted.
much more.
Yeah. So I think that's a recurring theme. I would be shocked if any professional in this industry says that's changed. I think that maybe there's a
Mhm.
little bit more understanding, but they still want to do the wait and see, as opposed to do the trainings and do the protective and the upfront investment to secure their environments.
Yeah, and do you guys also like do the trainings for the companies, maybe through like an e-portal or in-person trainings?
We do tabletops. We do customized tabletops. A lot of them are done for the senior level team, and we do real world environments. We've worked on a couple where we have a box that's credentialed. Sometimes we don't even tell the MSP we're in there, and we have the stakeholders in a room, and then we break out their crisis management. So you got to wheel it in. It's a document this big that no one's read, dust it off, and then we go through it and say, here's the scenario. And in one case, we said, everyone's in the room, like, what would happen if this was going on? Oh, we get all these alerts. I'm like, we've been in your system for 18 hours. We uploaded, almost a terabyte of PII information, and then we downloaded it at off hours, and no one got an alert. Now, granted, we were given access because we're not doing a purple team, and those, are different. But when you do it, and then they start to see it, then we start to see everyone's idea about who, and some of these groups that come forward that are on the crisis team, you're shocked at some people that are really dialed in but haven't spoken their mind. We've been training boards because you have to have that cyber side, and I think the boards like it. You have audit, but sometimes you really need to have a cyber assessment side, and I think it does work out. What we've seen a lot after the trainings on bigger organizations, they say, okay, we can't work with this 700-page document. Can you come up with like a 15-page, 72-hour response? What do we do? Crack the glass. Who do I get in line? And then go back on it. But again, I think it's also with business, everyone is distracted. You've got the tariffs, you've got people worrying about business growth. You have what happened here in New York with office buildings and under attack. So trying to get people to focus on that is a little bit hard, but we do the trainings and we customize them with the clients.
That's fantastic. And I love that you spend a little bit more time with the board too, to make sure
Yeah,
that everybody is developing the culture of awareness.
that's the key. And you're shocked. Like, so with this new SEC rule, there's a lot of people on boards that have cybersecurity backgrounds, but they don't want to be responsible for it. You know what I mean? They're like, look, I'm on your board to guide you, not to be like dealing with your crisis. So I think they appreciate when they get briefed and when the teams become more mature.
Absolutely. And so with AI, I know that you mentioned that you use it a lot for the defense side. And from my perspective, I feel like AI can do four different things really well. Like the first one is, like you said, like maybe you don't need 10 analysts, you need five. So it's reducing the cost. The other one would be saving you time, right? Like
Yes.
the AI can do an analysis and save 80% of the analysis time and, just make sure to have the oversight. And then from there, it can also like help you increase your revenue and make your business more intelligent.
Yes.
Like which one of those avenues have you been able to explore so far now that AI has been evolving at a tremendous rate?
So we've been able to use it on the analysis portion, culling large data sets, and then also layering our tools so that we're not using one resource. So that's been phenomenal. And when you look at an environment like, so, when you do a pen test on a large environment, if you're using a manual pen tester, they can only focus on so much. They can't do a huge environment. So having some of the tools to be able to do the assessments and then use the agent once the individual, once they figured out, hey, here are the areas I need. So remediation is good. I think on the business process, we're starting to use it. We're not as mature as we should be. And then on the marketing side and the digital side for like advertising, we just moved into that. Yeah, we were a little slow on the uptake on that, but I think that was just, on our side, a little naivete. And it was something I was pushing for, using AI driven metrics, videos to get information out there. And even a lot of people might on the marketing side might hate me for this on the PR side, but there are programs out there that you can take your content and put it into the AI and they'll come up with a very quick informational video. And I think with AI and anything when it comes to generating revenue, there's that fine line of constant contact and not being overarching. But if being able to be found and people can see what you're doing. So those are the two quadrants we're moving into, I'd say this year and at middle of this quarter and through Q4 and then early next year. But the AI policy is key. So we have a very strong AI policy that analysts can't rely on what they get. They have a protocol they have to show, and we don't do a full assessment with AI because AI is the search terms in some cases bring back information that's completely irrelevant, and then we can refine it. And it's always driven by a protocol with review and assessment. And then some of the other things we do here, which people don't realize, is we use like AI tools to check people's writing. Because if we find out they're using AI to write, then you're out. We can't have that. Like AI is a tool, but you can't use that to supplement if you're an analyst or you're an investigator to supplement your report. One, there's just the whole aspect of you're putting our information into something to use it. I haven't had that, thank God, but we do run those. If we see a report, we will periodically run it through Grammarly and other things to make sure it's not coming out of that.
Yeah, ChatGPT literally puts code in between that you
Yes.
can't really see, but it's there. And if you know about AI, you know that people are
And
cheating,
that's the big issue we see with clients where we're grappling on the cyber side is it's more on intellectual property. And we've been working with, we have some new products that may be coming to market next year is companies give their data to an AI third party who says, I swear I won't use this to grow my model, but we all know you need information to grow their model, right? Like their model grows faster with information. So it's the ability to audit the provider to see the code is not being obfuscated and used to grow their model in other areas. And so we're working in a way to get clients to understand that those contracts enable them to conduct an audit and what an audit would look like on that. And we're still working on it. We're working with some intellectual property lawyers that think it's interesting as well. But we do see it as a niche and a need, because once you give your data over to a provider, you're assuming that they're doing their diligence and putting it in a box and not using it across their platform. But more likely than not, they're using your data to grow their model.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be either developing your own LLM or really find a solution that makes sense. But auditing that, I think that's a big area of opportunity because more and more businesses are now using AI LLMs and different tools, but they don't really understand how to protect themselves and their IP.
Right. And we're looking at it because we've had some people come to us with different tools. Some of the tools sound great, but when we do a market analysis and we go to industry leaders, they say, we don't really see the market for this. So we have a plan, but we're still working on it and refining it.
Makes sense. And I wanted to touch up on, you mentioned that, you were a little late into the game on using AI when it comes to like the marketing side of things, but
Yes.
that's really how you educate your customer. And, like for like a small, medium business owner, like what do you see this new strategy that you're doing, like helping you the most with?
So what I think it is taking, when you first you invest, right? You start your business in this model. A lot of people in my industry don't really have comprehensive websites, don't have good messaging. So you start with that, your brand, your messaging. I think that's key. But with the AI now, where we see it is it's putting out there different services and seeing the tracking of it, getting back to metrics, like this is getting a lot of traction, and realizing that. And then in other ways, we just got like an assessment on a service line that we provide that we've had good success with, but we didn't know it was so interested. So many people were looking for it. And then the team on that side, they were like getting a little discouraged because they were working on other projects and not their core work. So I think it can help you target. I think it's not as much money as people think. I mean, SEO is a lot of money, search engine optimization, and it's been around for a while. But there's ways to use AI in a much more effective manner than I believe SEO or an SEO model. SEO can be insanely expensive. And if you have a company like I do, some of the terms I have are almost generic, like cybersecurity. You put that in SEO, I'm going to be competing with, companies that are going to be putting. I mean, some of these companies will drop $1 million or $2 million on their marketing team. We're not there, and so I think the AI can enable you if you're more nimble and you want to put your dollars to work. I think AI is definitely a way to do it. I think it's you marry that with a traditional program, but I think the key is develop your brand. Make sure you have control of your brand. You own the intellectual property rights. Get your messaging, have your content, and then use AI. And AI can help you update your content very quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I actually started as a marketing agency about a decade ago. And you're right, like SEO used to be the thing, but it can get really expensive, like you said, for the client. And also, like you said, you're competing against so many different, like websites that it's really hard to really have a flawless SEO and be at the top
It
of
is. I mean,
Google.
I've seen companies that have some of our logos in code. All of a sudden you're looking, well, we ran a search ourselves and someone's like, wait, this provider has the same landing page as us with the same words. So did we copyright it? And then you go back and our lawyers send us cease and desist. But with the AI, I think it's just a different metric where you can do like a 2 or 3 minute case study. And if you do that, like let's say weekly, or you do it with current events and things that you've done, or just talk about it, people are more inclined to learn about you and your organization than if you're just going to put things out on LinkedIn and other areas. And I think the videos are key. If you create AI-driven videos, video drives a lot of traffic.
Engagement. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I steered away from like the whole SEO thing, and I built this AI agency here in Las Vegas. We do really clever things with it. Maybe we
Well,
can talk about it.
yes, definitely. We're open to that. I mean, it's something that we have a team that's been a development team on the back end, but we work with other people too. So it's smart. I mean, when I know SEO because I sold one of my first companies to a much larger company, and I worked there for a number of years. I worked at Pinkerton, one of the largest security companies owned by Securitas, and their marketing budget was very significant because they were part of a $35 billion market cap organization. So they had that type of money. But when you want to compete with that, you want to be more nimble and you want to be totally focused, and you can really do that with AI, and a lot of the tools are really good.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I feel like SEO is to be found, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you can leverage AI and really get in touch with exactly the person that you need to get in touch with, with LinkedIn Sales Navigator and AI SDRs that are going to automatically make that connection for you and reach out to them, saving you thousands of dollars in marketing because every single dollar that you put in is actually giving you a result back.
Well, that's the key. And, if you like technology, which we should all, if you really start looking at AI and start delving into it, it's very cool. It's very interesting. So to me, I enjoy seeing the uses of it. Especially, next generation cameras, the ability to assess if a person's gait shows they're carrying a weapon. They have some of that now, but I assume what we're going to see in the future is going to be much more encompassing and comprehensive, and especially with cameras, the ability to probably use AI to move and track things and do predictive analytics and things such as that.
When I was working at Universal Studios doing finance, like I remember that the new park was going. They already opened it, so
Yeah,
nothing is confidential anymore. But you just walking in into the park, and they have your face already
they track
scanned with.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
they see
and
what
it's
you're
like,
spending your money on so that they
yeah,
can figure out, and then they target you for your next
this
package.
it.
Right. Yeah, so it's amazing. It's a great sales tool, but it can also be used in the security aspect to say, look, I see it went from, the traffic here is normally, let's say, 5 or 10 people. We have 20 people in a crowd, 30 people. Now, all of a sudden, it's alerting, hey, we may have something going on. Let's focus. So it's going to be interesting. And then the other thing is, I think when you get into Universal and other things, is they can also start trying to profile the individuals, what they look like, what they wear, what they spend, how much money, which restaurant are they going to in the park. They tend to spend more money. So now we can target those people as they walk in the door, as they walk out. Hey, these are the people that might spend more money on a fast pass or something else.
So much data, and that's what I meant by yeah, it can make you more money,
Yes,
with marketing and different things, and also like what you're mentioning right now, like tracking and analyzing data to make your business smarter at the
that's
same
the key.
time. And so, if you had a magic wand and you could solve any possible problem that you're currently, facing or is maybe slowing you down, like which problem would you make go away and why?
Because listen, so many clients pay faster. Maybe they could buy AI to actually pay in 30 days. Um, what I would say is, for me, I think it really is to find that right balance of connecting with clients, new clients, and the ability to grow the business quicker. I think that the way, yeah. I mean, for me, we have a lot of business that comes in. I mean, in the process and protocol of what we do, we have great process. We have great tools. We have partners that are great that we get to demo their products and utilize them in our environment. But I think for me, it's just targeted getting the message out. Polaris is a really good platform. We're found very easily. We have a good reputation, but getting that message out more broader and reaching more people is one of the things I'd like to get done in the next, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, just to get us to be more known for what we do. The
That
clients we have
is excellent.
are our
That's
biggest
exactly.
cheerleaders, but we want more people to know.
They are, it's always a great way to get referrals. But like you said, if you really want a growth strategy, that is exactly what I help cybersecurity firms do. Position you right in front of the right people that are decision makers already in your ICP or your ideal client profile. So more
I'd say
people
also
find
get
you.
focus on talent. Talent is hard to find. I think that we've gone through this morphosis of, like, the younger talent didn't have the same experience we all did. People like yourself are probably much younger than me. Is we had a different experience where we were very in touch with everyone. You're in an office, you learn the way to move through things, you built close connections. And I think a lot of it is we're a remote office, 3 days a week in or as necessary. And I think getting to talent and getting them to understand some of our clients, specifically in cyber and physical, if you're in a SOC, that's 5 days a week in an office. And people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that. There are certain jobs you're going to have to return to work, and there's certain jobs can be remote. But again, just finding good talent is always hard. I think everyone struggles with that. And, finding talent that's invigorated, that wants to learn and grow. So if I could wave my magic wand, that would be my number two. First, get us out there more and get me more talent.
Yeah, no, getting you more talent. I know that there's a mentor of mine that he helped me get 4 internships in college and my full-time job at Deloitte back in the day. And he has a pool of students, so he built an academy and he gets to handpick the best talent and refer it to different firms. So maybe, if you're
Love
open,
a
like I can
connection.
make an
Definitely.
introduction because he gets to identify which students are actually putting in the work and following the practices that are going to lead to getting multiple internships with Fortune 100 companies. But at the same time, I wanted to ask you, he usually specializes in international students because he has a high ticket offer.
So we have we do offshore. We do that. And
Perfect.
it's been good. I mean, so for us is some of the candidates we get, obviously there is an economic factor to it, but the people we have are phenomenal. I mean, dedication, education is phenomenal. So to us, offshoring is not something that we shy away from. We just have to make sure if it fits the model and the mold, or if we need someone that's going to be able to be on site where they'll be. But because we do have international footprint and partner offices and physical offices overseas, it's something we work with. I mean, we have someone who's an offshore remote that was based out of Mexico, but she was doing her master's, I believe, and she was in Spain for 3 months, and we were fine with it because, well, she was working at different hours. In the morning, she briefed the next team, so the work was getting done at a much faster pace. It was almost like a 24/7 pace, and now she's back to her regular hours. So offshoring is, you have to look at that if you're going to grow and evolve because there's great talent that's willing to work.
And do you guys sponsor if they wanted to stay here in the US?
We haven't done that yet. The company we work with is really good and really targeted. They have a rule that we can't recruit, but I'm assuming, may have one person we may one day get down the line with them and say that. We have looked at that. We've had people from the UK and Ireland that are interested because they have a very strong, both of those countries have a real strong cyber, but we also want to recruit from home, right? Like give the people in the US the chance before we go outside the US. That's always been our model. But we would sponsor if it's the right candidate.
Perfect. I'll make the introduction because those students specialize in IT,
Yeah.
whether it's cybersecurity or tech consulting, is international students that are going into really lucrative fields like cybersecurity and, like software engineering. But I
Yes.
think that it's worth having that conversation at least.
Yeah, I agree. I'm always open to a conversation.
Awesome. And, like for our audience that is listening, like if there was a message that you would like people to take away from today's episode, what would you tell the audience in one sentence?
So with the cybersecurity side, if you're starting, it doesn't make a difference if you're a startup, if you're an active or multi-generational family company. It could be HVAC, plumbing. It could be a, a tech company. You need to invest in cyber. You need to have a consultancy. There are many like Polaris, just like us, that are out there, come in and help you plot your course of securing your environment, securing your insurance, if cyber insurance, that you can ensure that your business and everything you put into it is going to be preserved and that you can continue to grow.
Absolutely. It is an investment and it is not just a nice to have, it's a must have because every business is a technology business nowadays.
That would be what I want people to think of, is that you need to do this. It's not something you can wait for. Do it early, and when you have early adoption, it will grow with you. So the pain is not so much.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm so excited to see what you're going to accomplish after our
Thank you.
conversation today. It was so great having you in the episode and thank you for sharing your insights. I'm really
My
looking
pleasure.
forward to staying connected with you, Steve.
Same here. All right. Thank you.